one Saturday afternoon, I decided to drop in on a movie in a little theater they had there at Camp Parks, and they were showing a movie called Mariaba, and it was about the gold rush, the '49 gold rush in California, and it showed Mexican people, families, coming north to try to cash in on the gold, just like the white pioneers, you might say. One of whom, by the way, was my great grandfather, James Orlando Shaw. But they got there, and the white people didn't want the competition for the gold nuggets. So in the movie, they were vandalizing and raping and killing the Mexicans. And who chose that movie to show to corpsmen, over about half of whom were black, white people killing black people over resources? I didn't know anything about the movie. I went in there and started watching it, and all of a sudden I saw, my God, this is incendiary. Well, about then, there was a crash back at the entry area, and everybody, and the projectionist, who was showing some belated smarts, shut the movie off. Everybody in the theater stood up, and I, all of a sudden, found at my side a corpsman who I'm going to call James, because I'm sorry to say it, I can't remember his name today. I've remembered it for years. All of a sudden, he was by my side, and he said, "Mr. Wyers, don't go back there." And I said, "I've got to go back there," because I had by then noticed there were no other staff in that building. And I was like, wow, totally unsupervised. So he said, "Don't go back there, you'll get hurt." And he was this powerfully built guy who I had rescued from his own values and emotions a month or so before, when he was new to the Job Corps. There was some of the black kids got together and played a game they called the dozens, and you mildly insult, hypothetically, the other guy's mother, and you say, "Your mother, your mother." And the tone of voice with which you say "your mother" is key. And pretty soon you say, "Your mother." Those are fighting words. And this white kid decided to join in with them in this game. Well, the white kid had his arm amputated right above his elbow. And I don't know why these black kids ever let him start playing the game with them, but they'd grown up in an all-black neighborhood. They weren't used to being around white kids. So this kid said "your mother" in the wrong way, and then this man I'm going to call James was honor bound to beat the hell out of him. But he knew he would get thrown out of the Job Corps and lose his chance to be trained with a family wage job. So I was at the moment, I was at the little office there, and somebody came in and said, "There's a problem over here in this reception dorm. Will you come over and help deal with it?" So I go over there, and this James is sitting on his bed, and he's literally agitated, and he's writhing around. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" He said, "Well, that guy insulted my mother. I'm honor bound to beat the hell out of him, but he's a cripple, and I'm honor bound not to beat on cripples." So he was torn between these two very powerful standards that he lived by, and I just, as Rachel Maddow calls it, talked him down. We just talked about it a while, and it wasn't worth losing his opportunity there at the Job Corps, and it wasn't anything brilliant I did, but I was just there for him, and we talked, and he calmed down, and he didn't hit the guy. So a month or so later, I'm there watching this movie, and he says, "Mr. Wyers, don't go back there, you'll get hurt." And I said, "I gotta go back there. I'm the only staff person in this building, and there's trouble." So I head back there, and I get back there, and there's this standoff, like a couple of cats, only it wasn't just a couple, standing with their backs arched, hissing at each other. Nobody had hit anybody yet, but it was incendiary. it was a very fired up, dangerous situation. And I was trying to, what the hell am I going to do if these guys start grabbing each other and hitting each other? And just then I looked over by my shoulder, and there is James. He'd come back to protect my sorry ass. What do you think about that? He was only about 18 years old, and he told me while we were talking about his struggle about whether to beat this one-armed white kid up, that he had gone down one fine day when his brother had gone, a little older, had gone down to the bar and had been drinking, and somebody came and told him, James, you got to come and get your brother, he's in trouble down there. And he said he went down there to see what was happening, and his brother, there were people getting ready to gang up on his brother, and he stepped in the middle of it, and one of them took a knife and stabbed him. And he had a scar about this long right under his left nipple where he'd gotten a knife that had come extremely close to puncturing his heart. This guy had not grown up in Sunday school. He was a tough young man. And he was willing to go back there because I'd helped him rescue his, you might say, career in the Job Corps. He was going to go back there and risk his being injured to protect me. I'll tell you what, you talk about race relations, you talk about humans sticking up for each other. That's one of the happiest stories in my entire life. And I might add, soon after that, things kind of calmed down with these guys that were up in arms about watching white guys killing and raping Mexican people who just come there to California to try and get a little gold to improve their family situation. It calmed down and we walked out of there safe. But there was a moment there when it was very dangerous, and there was James to protect me.